Hey, this is Bryce, and thanks for tuning to my YouTube channel, Jack of Trades. It's been a couple of months since I've put out a video, at least a decent one. Life has kind of gotten in the way. I've gotten busy with work, and then I come home and I'm tired and I just don't have the energy to sit in front of the computer for another 4 hours to produce a video. I have been recording videos, so I have a lot of videos that I want to get out. I just haven't been able to swallow that pill of sitting in front of the computer to edit the videos. But I'm going to go ahead and put this one out just to kind of give an update on the channel and what I've been working on and share some of the cool things that I picked up over the last couple of months. But before I do that, I'd like to go ahead and give a shout out to Adam over at Adam's Playground and Thad over at Iowa Budget RC Bashers. They had reached out to me just to make sure I was still alive. They're missing the videos, and I appreciate the sentiment and the thoughtfulness of doing that. So I'm very much alive. I've just been really, really busy. Doing kind of things around the house, fixing things, whatnot. Stuff that I just didn't want to take the time to record. So, I mean, I think we all know how life can get in the way of our hobbies, and that's kind of what happened. So, let's see what else has happened. I've been doing a lot of traveling the last couple of weeks. So I went to Alaska to visit my parents. That gave me the opportunity to kind of root through what I thought I had as a stash of old RC stuff, but when I got there, there was none of it left over. So I don't know what happened to my old RCs. Because I remember having like a Blackfoot, I had my original Tamiya Bearhawk. I had some other RCs, but those I know were stolen at one point. But I thought I had a couple of the other stuff. I did manage to find this guy here. This is a Kyosho Outlaw. It's their kind of little truck version of the Raider, I believe. I'll have to do some more research on it. But this was my brother's, and I had convinced my parents to get it for him for his birthday, and I think I built it for him, and that was the last that I remember of it. And then at some point it got kind of driven around and bashed. It's in pretty good shape, but it's got some weird damages to it. It has a bent drive shaft. Otherwise it doesn't have a whole lot of wear, so I'd kind of like to get into restoring this. And this is the radio. This is actually my very first RC radio, the Futaba Attack 2 channel. It's missing the little metal plate that goes across the bottom, but I had upgraded to the Magnum Junior and or Magnum Sport, and I went ahead and gave my brother this radio for his truck, and he never really got an RC like I did, so I think this is his first and last RC truck. And then I got to visit an old hobby shop that's been around since 1964, and that's Anchorage House of Hobbies. And the last time I'd been there was like 25 years ago, but it was one of the two hobby shops that I used to shop at as a child, and I was really surprised to see that they were still in business. They actually have moved to a new building. It's a much bigger building, and they seem to be doing really well. They're booming. And it's a really cool hobby shop. They've got quite a bit of stuff in there. Because it is 2 stories, you go up the staircase, and they have these like glass display cabinets. They've got some really cool vintage cars that unfortunately are not for sale, but it was still cool just to see those in person, and I'll go ahead and post some photos of that. And then after that, I came back and I was home for a couple days, and I had to go to Rockford, Illinois for a business trip. And while I was out there, I got to visit the Hobbytown in Rockford, Illinois, and that is an amazing hobby shop. It's probably one of the most diverse hobby shops that I've ever been to. They had everything there. They had rockets, Legos, trains, helicopters, planes, drones, cars, and they had it all. It was like the epitome of a hobby shop that you would have found in the 80s. And it's unfortunate that there aren't more of those types of shops around anymore, but it was a pleasant surprise to visit the shop. We spent some time in there. I talked a little bit with one of the employees there. And it was just a fun time checking out all the stuff that they had to offer in that shop. So shout out to Hobbytown in Rockford, Illinois. Now let's get into some of these toys. I have more toys and hobbies than I have time for. I'm more a collector of hobbies than I am anything else. I guess we'll start with the helicopters. So I got into helicopters a long time ago when I was in high school. My first helicopter was a GMP Cricket, which is a fixed pitch helicopter. I never managed to get it off the ground. I kind of could get it to skirt along the ground, but couldn't get it off the ground. Then later on, I picked up a used Kyosho Nexus. I'd never had a new one. I have a couple of Nexuses still, but it's an entry level, kind of 30 size, nitro powered trainer. Very easy to fly, very stable. And recently I found a new in-box kit, which I picked up here. So this is a Kyosho Nexus. This is actually, I think this was basically a parts kit for someone where they had crashed one of their Nexuses and they're pulling parts out of this. So it's not complete, but I'm fairly confident that I can replace the damaged parts, either from my collection of parts or just from finding them on eBay. Though parts are getting harder to find for these helicopters, and they're I guess what I would consider overpriced for what they are. But I guess that's coming from the background of having owned one of these when they were new. So I'm not quite ready to pull the trigger on some of those parts until I go through my stash of parts to see what I have. Another helicopter, I've never done a scale helicopter kit, and so I had picked up, well, let's put this here. Bring this forward. I picked up this Cavan, so it's a Cavan Jet Ranger RC helicopter kit. So these kits came out, the first kit came out in 1973, so this is a really vintage old kit. It's older than me, and I think they were making these up until the early 80s. And this kit came in the box. It was pretty, the box is pretty, well, as you can imagine, the box is what? We're going on 50 years almost. So it's weathered. The kit's okay, it's got some corrosion on it, but I can clean that up. But it didn't come with the fuselage. And so, in parallel to that kit, I found one of these fuselages on eBay as well. This is a huge helicopter. it's bigger than any helicopter that I have, and I have some fairly large ones. Actually, I do have a couple of gassers. So this is kind of on a scale of some of my gasoline powered helicopters. But it'll be cool if I ever find the time to actually build up a scale helicopter. What else? I got some new tools. So I've upgraded my plasma cutter to this. This is a Harbor Freight Titanium Plasma 65. And the reason I got this is because I also picked up this Arc Droid, which is basically a kind of a polar coordinate CNC plasma cutter. But the coolest thing about this is it's kind of a portable unit where I can pick it up, put it away, because I don't have room for a plasma cutter in my shop. So this is a very portable unit, and it gives me the CNC plasma cutting capabilities. I actually, at one point, I tried to convert my mill into a plasma cutter, and I was successful at cutting a couple of parts out, but the RF noise that the plasma cutter generates was causing problems with my mill and the computer running it, so I never tried it again. And so I picked up this guy, and then the new plasma cutter, which has a remote trigger so that it can the Arc Droid can trigger the plasma cutter. And I'll get more into that in an unboxing later on. But it's just another toy no, not a toy, it's a tool, right? Another tool to implement into my workflow. Here I have a box. So there's a couple of people out there that are making really good quality carbon fiber chassis for these vintage cars. I picked up some chassis for the Yokomo cars. I've ordered some chassis for the RC10s. The same person that's doing the Yokomo chassis is also doing the RC10 chassis. And then there's another group that was making these chassis out in Europe for the these are for the Schumacher cars, so like the Top Cat kind of style chassis. I think it's a universal chassis that can be used with multiple different cars that Schumacher has. I think they've implemented kind of a universal bolt pattern but I picked up a couple of these chassis, and I've got to say, you know, the quality, the fit, I don't know about the fit because I haven't put it together, but the finish on these chassis is for, you know, people that are just kind of getting into it. And they're not making it, they're sourcing it out, you know, they're doing the design and working with a shop to produce these, but they're pretty nice looking chassis. They're very sexy, that much is for certain. If you could ever call a chassis sexy. So I got a couple of those that came in recently. I love carbon fiber, so if you make out of carbon fiber, I'm interested. What else? Oh, so I got this guy. This is a Cox Bandito, and I got this little bug up my butt to kind of collect this series of cars, and there's 4 of these cars. There's the Cox Bandito, then you have the Kyosho Icarus, and you've got the Kyosho Cosmo and the Kyosho Pegasus. So I have the 3 Kyosho cars I have new in box kits for, as well as runner cars that are waiting to be restored. And then I recently picked up this Cox Bandito as a runner car waiting to be restored. But actually this is a, it looks like it's a mint car. There's no wear damages on this vehicle. I don't see anything that indicates it's ever been run. The body's got some cracks in it, just from age. These cars came out in the mid 80s. I think the Bandito came out in 86. Cosmo came out in 87. The Icarus and the Pegasus came out in 85. And this car, it's got kind of the plastics turned white because this uses the plastic as a hinge, essentially, both for the front and rear arms. So here the plastic is whitened, which indicates stressing. I need to go back and watch Adam's video because I think he talks about how to kind of relieve the stress. I think you can boil these parts in water. I think you can boil them and kind of reset that strain, maybe, or stress. I don't know. Anywho, so I've got a runner. I'm still on the lookout for a new in-box kit. If you have one that you're looking to get rid of, hit me up. If not, I'll just keep searching. Alright, so the next car that I recently picked up was another Kangaroo. And actually, this is my 4th Kangaroo. And why, do you ask, do you need 4 Kangaroos? Well, you don't, to be honest. I have 3 of them that are kind of torn down and are going to be built up as both so let's see here, I'm going to do a Kangaroo, a Dolphin, and a Koala. So they made basically 3 different versions of those cars. I think the Dolphin was the 4-wheel drive version, which I'm going to do, and then the Kangaroo. Then the Koala, I think it just has different types of shocks. I think it uses red body shocks or maybe plastic shocks. Each car kind of has some mild upgrades. But the reason I wanted this, and I didn't pay too much for it, I think it was a reasonable price. It does come with the Aristocraft electronics, so it's got the controller, the speed controller, electronic speed controller, the receiver, servo. But more importantly, what it has is the body. These bodies do not come up. No one's making repops. And it's really hard to find a Kangaroo with a decent body. And this body looks to be in mint condition. It actually came with 2 bodies. One looked like the runner body, and then this looks like the body that was never run. The wings are in good condition. So what I had started trying to model these bodies. I was going to make a body for my Kangaroo, but it was proving to be very challenging because I was working off of photos and I didn't have anything really to pull measurements off of. So now I have a real body that I can pull measurements off of, but I think what I'm going to try to do is make a mold from the existing body, and then so that I can start making my own bodies for this car. I have to see if I can get this body into my vacuum former. If not, I'm also looking at the prospect of making a larger kind of home-built vacuum former. But I got this car primarily so I could get the wing and the body, so I could use that to make my own bodies. Then I'll probably go ahead and flip it when I'm done with that. So I got that. We got a new kit that came out. I actually ordered this off eBay directly from Kyosho, USA. And I mean, by now there's a lot of videos out there of people building these up and kind of comparing them to the Genova I can't remember the name of the manufacturer. I should know it, but my memory sucks. Anywho, I have a Dirtmaster kit on hand now, which is kind of cool. It kind of, you know, you got that vintage look of the 90s buggies, which I really like and dig. And then I also was able to find a good deal on a Tamiya Super Saver. These go for stupid money right now. Definitely not worth it. If you kind of are patient, you can find them for a decent price. So I have a new box Super Saver kit. This is my only Super Saver. I don't have a runner of a Super Saver, but I'm happy to have gotten the new in-box kit. And then I was also on the hunt for a Great Vigor kit. Any kit, really. Well, they have some on-road kits. I'm not really interested. I was looking for a buggy. And so I came across this Beagle. And actually, it's not new in box. It's partially built. But it looks to be fairly complete, and the portion of it that's, you know, it's maybe less than 50% built. So this is what's assembled on it. So not a whole lot. I think they made it, I don't know, I don't remember what stuff they made it up to, but there's still a lot of fun work to do on it. I might actually tear it down just to make sure the differential is done properly. But I'm happy to have this kit in my collection, just because I was kind of looking for. I like to look at what different manufacturers, vintage manufacturers, had to offer back in the day. So like AYK, I don't have an AYK kit. I have a car for AYK that I'm looking to restore, but I don't have a kit. But like Great Vigor, AYK, you know, these kind of not well-known manufacturers from back in the day. So this is actually a clone of an Optima, and it's so much of a clone. My understanding is that Kyosho actually shut down the production of these cars, and I think these are more hard to get than like a vintage Kyosho Optima, and just because they did shut down production, so these are more rare, I guess. So it's kind of cool. I'm happy to have this in my collection. The box is pretty beat up, but I'm not after the box. And so that's what I'm up to. I am kind of getting that spark again to make more videos. I do have a lot of potential for content. It's just the time that it takes to do it that's holding me back. And actually, just in general, I haven't had a chance to really play around with RC lately. I haven't driven an RC car since I drove that Mini JRXT. So I think usually when I get stagnant in my passion for RC, all it takes is to go out for a day and run the cars. And so I think that's what I need to do, is just get out, run the cars, kind of remember how fun it is, and that kind of ignites that passion again to do stuff with RC. My goal moving forward will be to, you know, obviously put out more videos for you guys, and hopefully do that on more of a regular basis. Like I said, I do have a lot of videos recorded already. I just need to edit them, and I have lots of ideas for new videos coming up. Anywho, thank you for tuning into this video and checking out what I've been up to, and I will see you on the next. Take care.